Welcome to another round of Sports Reviews. Tonight I'm reviewing Louisiana Tech 34, Mississippi State 35. Mississippi State wins! You can wrap this one in maroon and white, as the late, great Jack Crystal would say, because Mississippi State makes the best comeback in their history to win this game. Seriously, their best comeback ever. 20-point deficit. How? Well, let me tell you. Jaquavius Marks in the first quarter has a 1-yard touchdown catch, makes it 7-0. Calvin has a 20-yard touchdown catch to make it 14-0. Means has a 72-yard touchdown catch from Kendall for Louisiana Tech to make it 14-7. Amazing play. Kendall makes a 59-yard touchdown run to make it 14-14. Harris has a 24-yard touchdown pass to make it 14-21. Catches a 24-yard touchdown pass to make it 14-21. That's the way it would go into half, 14-21. Barnes makes a 19-yard field goal to make it 14-24. Baldwin gets a pick six off of Will Rogers, which is the only really bad mistake Will Rogers made tonight, to make it 14-31. Barnes makes a 33-yard field goal to make it 14-34. Jaquavius Marks has a 1-yard touchdown run to start the comeback, 21-34. Jaquavius Marks also gets a 5-yard touchdown run to make it 28-34. Jaden Wally catches the game-winning touchdown to make it 35-34. Of course, they make the extra point. Louisiana Tech has one last drive, gets to the 33-yard line, has a field goal from there, and Barnes, about 5 yards less than his career high. He misses. Ball goes to the center of the end zone. Doesn't even hit the crossbar and goes down and misses. Mississippi State wins. Great comeback. But there's a couple of things that I want to say about this game. First quarter was great for State. They played well. Got to a 14-0 lead. Defense was good. Then they fall apart the last minute of the first quarter, and they start looking horrible until the fourth quarter. They only played good for half of the game, and it was the first and fourth quarter. Second and third quarter was all Louisiana Tech. State's defense was so bad in the second and third quarters. First quarter, they played well. Fourth quarter, of course, they played well. Offensive line was horrible. Will Rogers had a great game. He did. Even besides that pick six, he had an amazing game, Will Rogers. And honestly, that pick six was the one bad thing about this game. The offensive line did him dirty. That offensive line was not consistent. Now, you could say the offensive line was better during the comeback, and it was, because it had to be, just like the defense. But the defense did not play well before the comeback, besides the first quarter. They fell apart and went to sleep for half of the game and then woke up at the right time, honestly. It makes you want to ask a couple of questions, and it's either one of these two. Either that they're going to get eat up by SEC teams with their defense and offensive line problems if they don't get better, or, here's the other one, they can come back and they have a resolve that a lot of Mississippi State teams have, but they could finish the job. And that's one of the two questions you have. Now, let me say this. If it's the first one, you have to ask a lot of questions of Zach Arnett. You do. Because he, for some reason, since the 5th game of last season, has not been able to call a cohesive defensive game. Yes, they've won a couple. And they won most of their games last season after that 5th game. But they have not been cohesive. There have been moments to where the defense falls asleep or doesn't make the plays or makes miscues. And then you have the question of the offensive line. They have not been good for a long time. Even during the good part of last year, they did not look that good. The offensive line is not consistent. They're better than they were last year, but they're not consistent. They can allow sacks, allow pressures, allow players not to make good runs or anything. So it makes you question, is this team not as good as we thought going into the season and what their push at the end of the season showed? Are they not as good as they were, or is the air raid starting to take effect, or do they still have some learning curves? Or maybe they just didn't play well for 2 quarters. But I can't say with certainty Was the comeback really Mississippi State, this year's Mississippi State team, or was the team between the comeback and the first quarter this year's real Mississippi State team? It's a question, and I think it needs to be answered. And they have 2 more non-conference games before they play their first conference game against LSU. Do they win against NC State, and do they win against, who's the other ones? TSU's later in the season, but I think they play another non-conference game before that one. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, 4 non-conference. 3 and then 1. But for me, here's the question. Is this really State, or is the comeback really State? I'm not sure. And I'd hope that the comeback State is the real State, but their defense was not great. The defense was not great. It wasn't until the fourth quarter, and they did make a good couple of stops. State's offense was a wagon during the comeback, and they made the comeback. Maybe they needed to play like they were behind, and honestly, I want them to play like they're behind all the time. I think that's what they need to do. They need to do that, because if they don't, this could happen again. And I wouldn't be shocked if it does. They need to play better. They need to play quicker. They need to play like they're behind the whole time. And I think that's what they need to put in. Because honestly, in the SEC, they could easily be behind the whole time if they don't play like they're behind the whole time. Don't be comfortable. You shouldn't be. And I think that's what happened to State. I think they needed a reality check. They needed to be shown, hey, you shouldn't be so comfortable even against a team like Louisiana Tech. I think that's what happened. So maybe the comeback State is the real State. We'll see next week. Next week's a harder game. We're going to see. But with that said, Will Rogers, great game. For me, I have to say, Louisiana Tech fans should be proud of their team. They played well defensively, well offensively, great special teams. To be in the position they were in, I think if you told them this before the game about a week ago, last Saturday, they would totally run with it. Every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Now, I know it hurts right now, but that was an amazing performance by Louisiana Tech to even be that close. All rights and purposes, we should have blown you out. Had we not taken our foot off the gas, had we not been horrible in 2 of the 4 quarters. And we still came back. So, I think Louisiana Tech fans should be happy with that. Almost beating a SEC, I wouldn't say powerhouse, but mainstay. They're not a bad team by any means. I think Louisiana Tech fans should be proud. With that said, player of the match for me, player of the game for me, Will Rogers and Jaquavius Marks. Will Rogers had an amazing game besides that pick 6. He was amazing. Look at his numbers. You think they were leading the whole time, honestly, with those numbers. And as well, Jaquavius Marks put the team on his back, like Colin Hill used to. Amazing running, amazing offensive play, whether it's catching passes from screens or running. Amazing game by Jaquavius Marks. State wins easily. Not easily, but hard. But that comeback made it look easy. Great comeback. Well, it didn't look easy, but it looked amazing. With that said, if you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is. Tell all your friends. Check out my Patreon. $5, $10, or $20 a month. Anything's appreciated. Help support the channel. It'd be awesome if you do. Also support by subscribing, commenting, liking, sharing, posting this to Reddit, whatever. Help support that way as well. Tomorrow I have a live stream and review for USA versus Canada in World Cup qualifying. Hopefully that game, Canada gets a result they need to. I think they will, but we will see. With that said, I'm Ryan and I'm out. Peace. See you later.